Web delivery update, this time on Metasploit Minute. Metasploit Minute is brought to you by viewers like you. If you get value from the show and can spare just $1, please consider contributing at metasploitminute.com. Hello and welcome to Metasploit Minute, the breakdown on breaking in. I'm your host Rob Fuller, but you can call me Movix. This time we're going to be talking about an update to the web delivery module. Now, web delivery is one of my favorites simply because it tells you a list of commands that you can very easily copy and paste into a High5 rubber ducky or on an RDP session or whatever and just get a shell, and that's really great. So originally I showed you the PowerShell version. Now there's also been the Python and PHP that have been there, but we're going to show you some of the new ones like regserve32 and the PowerShell binary version. All right, so let's get into it. So use .star, remember that awesome command .star because it's regular expressions, web_delivery. You don't even have to finish the delivery. All right, so options, if I can actually spell right, options, go up, same stuff as before. Our serve host is where we're going to be serving out the file that it goes and gets, serve port, SSL cert, URI path, unless automatic, and it automatically gives us this Python interpreter with a target of Python. So if we show targets, we can see that now we have Python, PHP, PowerShell, and regserve32. We also have PowerShell binary. Today we're going to be using regserve32. Now the awesome thing about regserve32 is that it's built into versions of Windows pre-PowerShell. So Subt, or Casey Smith online, he found out that this command actually has the ability to go out to the web and pull things down. And then a module came out of that, which is now discontinued because it's now built into the web delivery. So we're going to use that. And we're going to set our target to 3. Now our payload is wrong, so we have to set payload to Windows as soon as it figures it out. Interpreter, reverse HTTPS. Now I'm going to use that because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually be generating everything here on my local Kali box, but I'm going to be sending the shell somewhere else. So let's look at this. So what I'm going to say is serve host is fine. I'm going to say port 8080 is fine. Why not? We're going to set our URI path just because it makes it easy. Path to /Bob. Set our L host to our listening host there on the internet. Set L port to 443 because everything's allowed over 443. And that should be good enough. So exploit says it's listening. Handler failed to bind. That's because this host that I have doesn't actually have that IP address. That's fine. That's fine. So this is what we're going to be connecting our victim to. So this is what we're going to run. It's a Windows signed binary that if you have whitelisting or whatever on your system or the target that you have, it still will run because it's signed by Microsoft. The commands here are what Subt actually identified, and the I lets you run an SCT file. Now an SCT file is basically a little bit of JavaScript inside of an XML file that can basically run anything JScript. We can look into that by just hitting it locally. So I'm going to start up a new tab, and I'm going to curl my local IP 192.168.223.129 or port 8080 bob.sct. And this is it. This is all that's in there. So this XML, scriptlet, then a random program ID, a class ID, and the script tag, which is ActiveX object wscript.shell. Now, many of you have probably seen wscript.shell in Hack5 episodes with the rubber ducky. It's very commonly used with any VB script to run a shell command. So what we're running in here is actually just PowerShell. So this is not actually compatible with older versions of Windows. The SCT, this RedServe32, that is, and you can have it run whatever you want. However, this module itself, because it's running PowerShell, doesn't get that backwards compatibility as well as what's available for RedServe32. So we can copy this out. We're actually just going to copy this and put it on our web server. So here's our little web server. We're going to make a web server directory. I know you guys like everything else, but like Vi and stuff, but I'm going to use Nano. Insert that file. All right, so we go back to here and see that it pulled the web delivery. We go over to our curl session and notice that it's pulling down another file. So Bob, we're going to have to host this as well. And we're going to have to edit this file. So let's go back into bob.sct and go back into the PowerShell that it's downloading and give it the correct IP address so that it'll actually get there. So it's going to be external. So we're actually taking a Metasploit module and converting the output of web delivery to something we can use on the internet, if this will actually copy and paste correctly. All right. So that's bob.there. So we're going to have to curl that again with just the Bob. Now, again, that's more PowerShell. This is base64 encoded. If we look through this, this is actually converting the PowerShell base64 right here from base64, this block of base64 to a binary, decompressing it, and running it with no window. So we are dropping a binary with this module. So it's not in memory, just so you know. So we got to copy this out. That worked the first time. That's awesome. Insert there. All right, now we have everything we need for our web server to start, and we're going to start it with, you can do with Python simple web server, you can do it with Apache, you can do it with Nginx, you can do any web server you want. I'm just going to go with a Ruby web server since I already have Ruby installed here, and it's just easier that way. I can pull it up and down. It's a single liner. So here we go. Ruby -run -e httpd port 8080. So now we have that WebRick web server going. Go back over here. We have our handler running with the correct options. Just showing you the options out here. And now we should be able to run this command on our victim and get a shell on the server on the internet. All right, we all have it all typed out now. We're going to try and run this thing and see if it works. So how it's going to operate is it's going to go from the Windows host. It's going to go out using RedServe32, automatically detecting proxies. It does all of that inside of that binary. Grab our SCT file, run whatever shell script is in there, which is PowerShell. Then it's going to use that PowerShell to go get another script from our web server and then drop a binary and hopefully give us a shell. We'll see how that works. Let's see. And I can't type worth a darn. This is going to, obviously, so reds svr. That's better. So nothing happened. No pop-up, no anything. I'm going to fix this while I can. I'm going to go over to our attacker. Nothing's going to happen over here, even though we generated the binary or the payload over here. We copied it to our web server. So let's see if our web server got anything. No requests. Ah, I know where we messed up. I bet some of you are already pointing it out. Port 8080. Look at that. Still nothing. Still nothing. Let's now check our web server. It got bob.sct, so we're off to a good start. It got bob. For the PowerShell, so we're good there. Let's check our... We got a shell! Woo! All right, now that we have our shell, we can start looking around, poking at things, see what access we have. we're going to be running as whatever user ran that script. There's no escalation there. There's no extra bits there. So it just ran that. Now, like I said, this is running PowerShell twice. We can very easily edit that SCT file to be whatever we want. If we want to just have it run add user or net user add or whatever, this is great because we can actually set this up as a script or a scheduled task and say, hey, go get this SCT file every hour and change what's in that WScript shell as much as we want. That's the beauty of this command. Now, there are more detections since Subt tweeted this out and made this really well known. More detections that people see on this thing, but it's an awesome way for persistence as well. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look around and see what we're running as on the system and see that we've made that binary and maybe do some cleanup. We didn't do much cleanup when we talked about Metasploitable 3, but we're going to do it now to see if we can kind of clear up our tracks. All right, so PS, see what we're running as. It's going to take a second because it's doing the round robin all the way out to the internet. And get PID. 420. Oh, we're actually running as PowerShell. So it didn't actually drop a binary at all. That means we don't have to do any cleanup. That's amazing. I didn't know how this module worked, I guess, because I didn't know what the base64 did. I assumed a lot, and let's go back to the base64, and I was totally wrong about that. Yeah, so look, so it gzips and then in-memory stream. This is what you get for not looking and reading ahead of time. But that's amazing. So it is all in memory. It does everything in memory. It does still use PowerShell, which means it's not backwards compatible. So you can still make those edits if you want. But, well, you learn something new every day. So let me know what you think. Send me your favorite in-memory module. Email me at msf@hack5.org and stay tuned to Metasploit Minute for more shows like these. And a huge thanks to everyone who supports the show. If you'd like to support the show directly, go to patreon.com/Movix. Every dollar goes towards making this show even better just for you. I'm very grateful for your support. So until next time, I'll try to be hacking until the cows come home. So let me know what you think. Give me your hate mail. Send me
No.